everybody, welcome to another Hot Topics in Estate Planning and Probate with yours truly, Lorie Burch. Our question today from the Lorie Burch mailbag is, Dear Lorie, I was listening to a radio program on financial advice and it was suggested that families should consider a living revocable trust. Not to sound irresponsible, but what in the world is a living revocable trust and how do I know if it's right for my family? Thanks for all your help. Stuart in Dallas, Texas. That is a question I get quite often, Stuart. There is a piece of planning called a revocable trust that is a living trust, meaning that it's a trust that you set up right now rather than other trusts that lawyers can set up, such as if I have a small child and I put in my will if I pass away and the child is underage, I would want a trust created at that time. So that's a different kind of trust. That's a testamentary trust. So a living trust is something that you would create right now and you would title your property in there, bank accounts, homes, whatever. Usually when you hear general advice on getting a living trust, it's in the effort to avoid probate, because probate is the legal process, the court process by which when somebody passes away, you determine who the executor is, how property gets distributed, and so forth. In many, many states, that is a very complicated and expensive and burdensome process. So if you have a living trust that you've put your home and assets and money into, your successor trustee would just take over and follow the terms of the trust without actually having to go through the probate process. So that's usually the reason or the biggest reason you hear as an advantage, and that is a potential advantage. However, your circumstances will always dictate what is the best course of action. And in Texas, we have a very, very simplified probate process if you have a properly written Texas-specific will, because we don't have a lot of court oversight. It's not really dragged out. So the idea of the benefit of the trust to avoid probate perhaps is not necessarily as big of an advantage as it would be in some other states that don't have our probate process. But there are some other advantages to living trusts. Some people like the privacy of it because a will, when it gets filed for probate, does become a public record, whereas a trust does not. Also, sometimes it can be easier to manage property. If you become disabled or incapacitated, your successor trustee would just be able to step in and manage that for you. So, and actually almost prevent a potential guardianship. So those are some of the benefits. Also, depending on your specific circumstances, if you have children from a previous marriage or you have land or real estate in another state, those are all indicators that you may be a good candidate for a living trust. But again, your estate planning attorney should really be able to direct you to that. It's just you shouldn't go to someone who just automatically is going to force you into that, because some of the drawbacks of a living trust is they are much more expensive. And not to be cynical, but I do believe that's why some attorneys and some trust companies favor them a little bit. You get about 2 to 3 times the fee to set those up. But it's not that they don't earn their money, it's a lot more work, because when you sign a will, you're pretty much done. You should take a look at it ever so often to keep it updated. But with a living trust, if you really want the advantage of the trust working, you then, once it's signed, need to possibly retitle property, move bank accounts, change beneficiaries. There's a lot more work. And as you go forward, you need to always remember when you buy property, sell property, open up new bank accounts, they need to be going through the trust, because the minute they're not in the trust, then the trust is not controlling that asset, so it's not really working for you. One last thing to really make you aware of, because this is a lot of confusion when it comes to this, is there is no asset protection or tax planning advantage through a living trust versus a will. All the type of planning to avoid estate tax can be done through a will, just the same that it can be done through a living trust. So it's important to remember those things. But you should definitely consult with your estate planning attorney on what is best for your family and your situation. Great questions, Stuart. Keep them coming. If you would like to view more Hot Topics, please see our YouTube page, and don't forget to like us on Facebook. Until next time, remember, if you don't have a will, the state of Texas has one for you.